Yo, what's up guys? It's Noah here, and in today's video, I'm going to be talking through some player props I like over on Prizepicks for the Week 13 college football slate. Going to break down 3 picks I'm liking for the Saturday slate of games, and as always guys, we're going to get some information, some analysis behind why I like each one of these 3 plays. Now, before we get started, make sure that you guys hit that like button down below if you enjoy these Prizepicks videos. Make sure that you hit that subscribe button as well. And if you guys are new to the channel and if you are new to Prizepicks, if you don't have a Prizepicks account, make sure that you go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you do sign up for Prizepicks with my promo code. Play $5, you'll get $50 worth of free lineups just for signing up and using code NOAH. And then we do also have a partnership with Sleeper, so I do want to give a quick shout out to Sleeper. If you guys don't have an account over on Sleeper, you can download the Sleeper app, use promo code NOAH over there. Get your first deposit matched up to $100, as well as you'll get a free $20 entry. So Sleeper is doing a new promotion where they're allowing you to basically try out their app risk-free. You don't have to put in any money. It's no deposit required to get that free entry. And this is going to be a way for you to have a chance to win some money on Sleeper without, again, having to put any money in. So it's a win-win for you guys. Highly recommend that you get over to Sleeper. If you want to, you could take the 3 picks that I give out in this video and use your free $20 entry on those 3 because Sleeper does offer college football. So check them out, guys. Again, download the Sleeper app. Make sure that you use that promo code NOAH so that way you do get that free entry. And then if you do decide to make a deposit, you still will get your first deposit matched up to $100 as well. But before we do talk through our Prizepicks plays for this week, guys, I want to recap the plays that we gave out for our video last Saturday. So give out 3 picks last Saturday. Did go 3-0, so hopefully you guys tailed the 3 plays that we gave out. I know one of the plays that we gave out, that line did get removed shortly after I uploaded the video. Don't know how many people were able to get that in. I don't know, if you didn't get it in and you just played the other 2 plays, then you still cashed out if you took the other 2 plays. But we hit on Jeff Sims over 242.5 pass plus rush yards, hit on Jada Mayava over 230.5 pass yards, and then Michael Jackson over 3.5 receptions was the 3rd play that we took. That also hit. Again, that was the line that got removed shortly after I uploaded the video. So, I'm not sure how many people got in the Jackson prop, 3.5 receptions. If you did, good. It was a 6x hit. If you took the other 2 plays and didn't play the Jackson prop, then still hit for 3x last week. So, still a win regardless. Let's see if we can keep that rolling, though, guys. Go back-to-back, get us another win on this Week 13 slate. So, talking through the props that I like this week, first one that we're going to take a look at is going to be on Conner Weigman. And I like Conner Weigman for more than 201.5 pass yards. Now, Weigman was the quarterback at Texas A&M last year. He started some games, and then I think he got benched for Marcel Reed last year. Now he's transferred over to Houston. He's played decently well for Houston this season. You look at his last few games in terms of going over this pass yards line. He's only over this line in 3 of his last 5 games. One of the games where he went under, he went under by the hook. Really unlucky. Finished with 201 pass yards. And then he did only have 164 yards against Arizona. That was a game where he also didn't have a ton of pass attempts. He only had 23 attempts in that game. The game against Arizona State, he only had 22 attempts. We've seen more pass attempts, though, from Weigman the last few weeks. 35 against West Virginia, 31 in their game last week against UCF. This week, they're going to be facing TCU, and TCU does have a pretty explosive offense. TCU is a team that throws the ball a lot. They can move the ball down the field through the air. I would not be surprised if you see TCU put up some points here, force Houston into more of a passing game script. You look at the spread in this game, it's only a 1.5 point spread, so it's projected to be a relatively, kind of back and forth type of game. 54.5 total, so it does have a relatively high total. I think the matchup, though, is really good here for Weigman to be able to have success through the air, because if you look at TCU's pass defense, TCU's given up about 244 pass yards per game, which is, that's in the bottom half of the country. They've definitely been a, susceptible pass defense. They've been a team you can beat through the air. So I think this does set up as a good spot for Conner Weigman to be able to have success moving the ball through the air. I think this is a game script where we could see Houston forced to throw a little bit more because, again, they're going to be facing a TCU team that does have an explosive offense, can put points up on the board, which can force Houston, again, to continue to throw the ball. Some of these games where Weigman has gone under this line, a lot of those games have just been games where he hasn't really had a lot of pass attempts. He went under against Arizona State with only 23 pass attempts, 22 pass attempts, went under against Arizona State with only 23 pass attempts. And then there was also a game He went under against Texas Tech, only had 12 pass attempts. His 2 games earlier in the season were blowout wins. He only had 24 pass attempts, 22 pass attempts. This should definitely be a spot where he gets closer to that 30 pass attempt mark. And if he has that many dropbacks, that many pass attempts against a TCU defense that's been very beatable through the air, this should be a spot where Weigman can have success as a passer. He is a dual threat quarterback. He can also run, but I definitely think this matchup sets up really well for him to be able to move the ball through the air. So I do like that as our first prop for Saturday. Next prop that we're going to take a look at is going to be on TJ Lateef. So TJ Lateef, he was the backup quarterback for Nebraska, but now he's the starter because Dylan Raiola is injured. And we saw Lateef start last week. He was decent last week against UCLA, had 205 pass yards, was 13 for 15, so it was pretty accurate, completed 86% of his passes, 205 pass yards last week against UCLA, and then also had 31 rush yards. I like Lateef over 175.5 pass plus rush yards. You could look at his pass yards prop at 160.5, but Lateef has shown good, dual threat ability. He has shown mobile ability. He can run. Again, he did have 31 rush yards last week. In his appearances this season, he hasn't played much this season because, again, he's just been backing up Dylan Raiola. But when he's made some appearances this year, he did have 2 carries for 17 yards against Akron, did have 3 carries for 15 yards against Houston Christian, and then he did have 6 carries for 18 yards against USC. So when he's gotten playing time, he's also been running to go along with what he does through the air. This is a matchup where we're likely going to see Nebraska forced to throw. They're going to be going on the road to face Penn State. Obviously Penn State's been a disappointment this season, but they're still 8.5-point underdogs in this, 8.5-point favorites in this game. So, Penn State's still favored here. This is a spot where Nebraska's likely going to be forced to throw. I know Penn State, defensively, they've definitely been a stout pass defense. That's kind of been one of their strengths, really just the last few seasons. This season, they've still been solid defensively through the air, but I think the game script is just going to force Lateef into more dropbacks here, force him to throw more. Last week, again, against UCLA, he only had 15 pass attempts last week. That was a game, though, where I don't think they really were forced into many dropbacks. They were playing with the lead for a large majority of the game. UCLA did start to make a sort of a comeback late in the game, but Nebraska had a lead for a large majority of that game last week against UCLA. They were able to run the ball a lot. Emmett Johnson had 28 carries last week. Just don't know if we're going to see that type of script here this week for Nebraska. It definitely could be more of a script where they're forced into more dropbacks, forced to throw more. And again, Lateef, he's a good pocket passer, and he's a guy that does offer some rushing ability as well. He's a dual threat quarterback, so that's why I like adding on his pass plus rush yards, as he can, even if he goes under his pass yards, he could still go over this line because he could run for, 30, 40, 50 yards, however many it may be. But I do like that as our second prop for Saturday. TJ Lateef, more than 175.5 pass plus rush yards. And then the last prop that we're going to take is going to be on CJ Williams. I like CJ Williams for less than 5.5 receptions. So CJ Williams has had some games, recently where he's gotten a bunch of targets. Like he had, it doesn't show in this last 5, but like he had a game against Virginia where he had 13 targets. He had a game at San Jose State where he had 19 targets. The volume has started to drop down a little bit. 9 targets against SMU, 6 against Florida State, 5 against Miami. The last 2 weeks he's had 9 targets in back-to-back games. It is worth noting, though, that we're going to see we're seeing a different quarterback for Stanford the last week and this week. Elijah Brown's going to be starting for Stanford. Ben Gulbranson is injured, and he's been the starter for a large majority of the season. Without Ben Gulbranson, I don't know how effective this Stanford offense is going to be moving the ball through the air. Now, Ben Gulbranson is not the best quarterback by any means, but he is more of a pocket passer. Like, he's a guy that will stand in the pocket, will make throws. I think Elijah Brown's a quarterback that does offer more. He really hasn't been much of a runner. He didn't really have many rushing yards last week. He's more of a pocket passer as well. But he's a freshman quarterback, so he doesn't have a ton of experience. I'm just not as high on the Stanford pass game with Brown at quarterback. They did have a really good game moving the ball through the air last week against North Carolina with Elijah Brown at quarterback. Brown did have 284 yards last week, but that was also a better matchup. North Carolina's been a pretty bad pass defense so far this season. They've been a bad defense overall. Cal has not been as bad, in terms of a pass defense. And if you look at Cal so far this year, they're only allowing 206 pass yards per game. Again, we saw CJ Williams have 6 catches last week with Elijah Brown at quarterback. He had 9 targets in that game, but that was also a game where Elijah Brown had almost 40 pass attempts. I don't know if we're going to see that many pass attempts for Elijah Brown this week. He had 284 yards last week. This week, if you look at Elijah Brown's pass yards prop, that line is set at 236.5. So clearly the sportsbooks are not expecting Stanford to be moving the ball as successfully through the air this week as they did last week against North Carolina. All those reasons make me like this under on CJ Williams, 5.5 receptions. CJ Williams also, he's been more of a big play guy. Like if you look, he's a guy that can catch a lot of long passes. He's not a guy that typically, is like a low ADOT receiver. Like he has had some games lately where I think the Pitt game, he had 7 catches on 122 yards. There was one game, like last week, he had 6 catches for 61 yards. But he's more of a receiver that has that big play upside, can catch those long passes. He's not really running a bunch of quick slants, drag routes. Those are typically plays or routes that are going to be easier to get receptions on. Williams not more of that. He's not that type of guy. He's more of a bigger play receiver. And with him having a 5.5 receptions line, again, he saw 9 targets last week. I'm not as confident that he sees that type of volume again here. I'm not as confident that Stanford moves the ball through the air as successfully as they did last week against North Carolina. Better matchup last week, tougher matchup this week against Cal. Also, it's a freshman quarterback. You never know with freshman quarterbacks. These guys can be definitely more volatile. Brown had a good game last week. He could come out and have a stinker this week. So give me CJ Williams, less than 5.5 receptions is our third and final prop here for the Week 13 college football slate. So we got 3 picks, guys, that we're going to be rolling with for Saturday. We went 3-0 last week. Hopefully we can run it back, go 3-0 this week. As always, I do appreciate you guys watching these Prizepicks videos. I appreciate your support. Be sure to hit that like button down below. Hit that subscribe button as well. And again, guys, if you don't have an account over on Prizepicks, make sure that you go sign up. Use that promo code NOAH when you sign up for Prizepicks. With my promo code, play $5. You'll get $50 worth of free lineups just for signing up and using code NOAH. But as always, good luck, guys. Let's win some money this week, and I'll see you guys in the next video. Peace.